If a company can't even help people, I'll quit on my own accord. Fire me, I don't care. I know I have a tendency to get too heated. I'm aware of it, truly. But the words from the CEO in front of me were absolutely unacceptable. My name is Dylan. I work in sales for a security firm. I always wanted to be a police officer and even took up boxing because of it. However, due to certain reasons, I had to give up on that dream. But now, I'm satisfied because I can work in security, protecting people. However, I must admit, I've never gotten used to the daily packs of ways. Being a big guy, I'm always concerned about getting in people's way. Even today, I tried to make myself smaller, taking up as little space as possible on the train. Today, I was heading to a business meeting at a newly opened office. My boss was supposed to accompany me, but he'd sent word he'd be coming straight from an out-of-town trip, so I was alone on the train. Unlike the morning rush, it was slightly less crowded in the afternoon, so I was able to get a seat. Thinking I'd review some details about the client, I reached into my bag. That's when I heard it. "Leave me alone. I've told you, I'm not interested." A clearly distressed woman's voice caught my attention. Looking over, a young woman who looked like a college student was being approached by a blonde, slick-looking guy. "What's your problem? I told you I'd pay you good money. What's the catch? Trying to up the price. You're greedier than you look." "It's not about that. I just don't trust you. That's all." "Well, despite my humble request, you get carried away, stupid girl." Before I knew it, the man grabbed her wrist, attempting to pull her towards him. "Help, somebody, please." She frantically looked around for help. Without thinking, I intervened, placing myself between the two. I stepped forward to shield her, looking down at the man. Given my tall stature and strong build, I'd pose a bit of a threat to him. "What are you doing to this lady? None of your business. Move out of the way." The man tried to grab me, but I swiftly brushed off his hand and sidestepped. Unable to stop himself, the man clumsily tumbled to the floor. "What the hell? I didn't do anything, just dodged. This is a public space, you know. Avoid causing a scene and bothering other passengers." I then checked on her. She looked shocked, but thankfully didn't appear injured. What happened here? Suddenly, a conductor came in a hurry. Just as we were at the station, the door opened and the man made a quick escape. "Are you both okay?" Hearing the conductor's voice, I turned to her and she bowed her head towards us. "Yes, thank you." Her face softened with relief. She seemed cool at first, but her smiling face looked somewhat youthful. Judging by her attire, I guessed she was a college student, and that seemed about right. "Do you know that guy? Well, he's been bothering me a bit about work. I never thought he'd resort to violence, especially in such a confined space. I'm sorry to ask this, but can we get a statement from you? It's protocol." At the apologetic tone of the conductor, we both nodded. It looked like we'd be questioned at a station near her residence. I'd probably be late for my meeting, but it couldn't be helped. I quickly texted my boss and put my cell phone back in my bag. She's a junior at a nearby private college, and her name is Lisa. After talking with her for about an hour, she asked for my contact info. I was concerned about a business meeting, so I handed Lisa my business card and quickly headed to the site. By the time I reached the client, the meeting had already ended. My boss gave me an earful, but I was content that I could help someone. I hadn't given much thought to what would happen next. The next morning, as I got off the train and passed through the turnstile, there was Lisa. We made eye contact, and I nodded in acknowledgement. She approached me. "Good morning, Dylan. Thank you for yesterday." Oh, good morning. Everything okay after that?" "Yes, I got home safely. There's something I want to tell you about that." "Okay." The situation on the train got spread on social media, and that guy, Jake, has been ridiculed, and there are some pretty harsh comments. He seems really mad. On social media, yes, there might be some retaliation. Please be careful, Dylan. I just wanted to tell you that. It seemed that was all Lisa wanted to share. She nodded and then quickly left. She has this mysterious vibe. Different from the usual bubbly college girls I often see, she gives off a cool impression. She's much younger than me, but I feel like I can't defy her. Despite her stoic demeanor, there's something charming about her. When I arrived at the office, my boss immediately approached me. Dylan, the CEO wants to see you. Head there now. My boss's tone was cold. He's probably upset about me being significantly late to the client meeting yesterday. I bet the CEO is talking about that too. I felt uneasy, but I had no choice, so I quickly headed to the CEO's office. Dylan, I heard there was an incident on the train yesterday. That was the first thing the CEO said. Our CEO, the second generation in charge, is a laid-back sort of fellow, more like a spoiled young master than anything. He may seem a little unreliable as a CEO of a security firm. I haven't had much to do with him, so I don't know him too well. I nodded in response to his words, and he seemed a bit distressed. Well, the situation has blown up on social media, and it's become problematic. What do you mean by problematic? I don't think I did anything wrong. Well, yes, but the CEO's words were slurred, and he seemed evasive. While saying this is troublesome, the way he kept sneaking glances at me was a tad bit irritating. Did you have our company badge on? That's why I've been identified, and the other party is furious. They're lodging a complaint. What? You mean the guy who was about to get violent with Lisa? Mind your words. That man is a son of one of our major clients. He claims you embarrassed him and has complained through the company. We have to think about your situation. Since they are a significant client, we can't just ignore this. How about a transfer, just for a few years? Transfer? Where to? It's a bit far, but we've just secured a contract for facility security in Nebraska. It's a bit out of your usual job scope, but it was you who caused this issue, after all. The CEO said with a half smile. I realized this was likely a demotion. Even though he knew their demands were unreasonable, he seemed willing to sacrifice me to smooth things over. We can't have an employee causing issues working at the headquarters, you understand. But all I did was try to help. Your intentions were noble, but they've done their research on you. Your father, he's a criminal, right? My heart sank at the CEO's words. It's true, my father is in prison. He's divorced from my mom, and I've cut ties with him. Still, the truth haunts me. Because of my father, my mom and I had to move away from our hometown. I've recently been able to spend my time peacefully. However, the weight of society's prejudice is still heavy. I thought you had kept it hidden well until now, but if I had known that, I would never have hired you in the first place. Still, you should feel lucky you weren't fired. I've cut ties with my father, so he has nothing to do with me. I'm offended. Even if you say so, others might not see it that way. Having you in the main office causes various problems. Your very presence harms the company. Why did I have to hear all this? I clenched my fist tightly. Seeing my reaction, the boss looked at me with disdain and spoke. Resorting to violence. No wonder people say sons of criminals are just trouble waiting to happen. What's this about wanting to help people? In the end, people like you can't do anything. I felt my blood boil at his words. If I punched him now, I'd be playing right into his hands. If I hurt him, it might become an assault case. I clenched my teeth and bore it silently. I closed my eyes and counted to 6 in my head. Doing that helped me calm down just a bit. Taking a deep breath, I mustered all my strength and shouted. If this is a company that can't help people, then I quit. Fire me or whatever. Getting too heated is one of my bad habits. I know it. But still. The words of the boss in front of me were something I could never forgive. After being told by the CEO to get out, I left the company and was heading to the train station. Wondering what to do next, I went to a bookstore near the station. While flipping through a job magazine, a woman approached me. "Oh, Dylan, aren't you supposed to be at work? Hi, it's nice to see you again, Lisa." Lisa was the one who called out to me as she looked up at me. She had a few complicated books and a fashion magazine in her hands. She gave off a mysterious vibe but looked her age, which gave me butterflies. "Job magazine, are you changing jobs?" "Yeah, kinda." "Is it because of what happened yesterday?" At Lisa's words, I tried to play it cool, but I couldn't. My friends often joke about how easily readable I am, calling me an open book. I'm not good at hiding things. "I'm sorry, it's my fault, isn't it?" No, it's my fault. Some family issues came up, and I decided to quit." "You mean, your wife?" "No, I'm single. It's my dad. But never mind that, so I thought I might look for a new job. I have some savings, so I'll be fine for a while." Lisa looked down, deep in thought. Then, suddenly looking up, she gazed deep into my eyes. "Dylan, how about becoming a bodyguard?" "What?" Caught off guard, before I knew it, she had grabbed my hand and was leading me somewhere. I found myself in an office room. "What's this place?" "My company." "What? But aren't you a college student? Starting a business in college isn't that rare, right?" She then guided me to a sitting area partitioned off in the corner of the room. Several people were working in the office, the sound of keyboards clicking away. She spoke briefly with someone in the back and then turned back to me. "Well, I'm technically the CEO here. Started this company a while back, turned a profit here and there, and now we've grown big enough to have this office space. We develop apps targeted at young women, and I guess we made about $50 million last year. We're a legit business, so we offer decent benefits, health insurance, and all that jazz. And then, whoa, hang on a sec, you're going too fast for me to keep up." "Oh, I'm sorry. Would it help if I start from the beginning?" "Oh, Lisa, don't you think you should do something about that habit of yours of going off on tangents?" While I was racking my brain, a slender man with glasses brought me a cup of coffee. "Nice to meet you. I'm Luke. I co-own this place with my sister. Think of this place as a co-working space. I heard about you from my sister yesterday. Thank you for helping out." You're welcome." Lisa can be a bit blunt and has had her share of troubles. As her brother, I worry about her. "Do you really need to explain all this now?" Lisa looked slightly annoyed as she shot her brother a glance. The familiar vibe between the siblings made me chuckle a bit. To be honest, I've always hoped she'd have someone to look after her. She's a genius, and many companies are after her. It would be a disaster if someone took forceful ways on her, like what happened yesterday. We would be so grateful if someone like you could serve as her bodyguard. A genius. Yes, call me a proud brother, but she's been involved in app development for years. Last year, she released a photo editing app that became a huge hit, and there are several others. As Luke listed the apps, I realized I had heard of them. I knew she was talented, but I had no idea she was this accomplished. I was at a loss for words. "We'd like to formally hire you. Would you consider it? I mean, I'm very honored. I just lost my job, so I'd gladly accept." When I replied, Luke reached out for a handshake. And here I am, the CEO. Lisa, sitting in the corner of the couch, looked a bit sulky, but in this moment, she looked endearing. We then discussed how I would operate as Lisa's bodyguard. I'd drive her to and from work, and when there are company errands, we go together. Other times, I'd take on some light chores around this office. Even though I'm older, Lisa is technically my superior. So, I decided to be respectful towards her, but she told me to be at ease. She said it makes conversations more straightforward. I'm not great with polite expression, so I was grateful for that. Our main concern is about Jake, right? Why is he after you? Lisa frowned with a hint of annoyance and responded, Jake's the third son of a pretty reputable company. His older brothers are outstanding, but he seems to know he's not up to par. He thinks that if he can't achieve much during college, he won't be the successor, so he targeted me. He probably believes that if he can take over my company, all the profits will be his. If he can't maintain the app, he'll plummet in no time. He wants to take over the company. Exactly. At first, he tried to sweet talk, almost like a honey trap. When that didn't work, he started to harass. He's so childish and persistent, it's irritating. We go to the same school, and I've heard nasty rumors about him, so I've been wary. Lisa sighed deeply, showing her genuine distress. Harassment? Like what exactly? Spreading weird rumors at school, cyberbullying on social media, and then there are these threats. She showed me a large number of threatening letters. They contain some pretty vulgar words. I know a detective. Maybe we can consult him. Really? But do you think it's something we should take to the police? It's better to have a record of these things. Let's gather evidence. I called up an old high school buddy of mine, John. We don't meet often because he's super busy, but he's one of the few friends I still keep in touch with. I reached out, and he quickly responded, willing to listen. He hasn't changed much since high school. Back then, we were buddies on the same wrestling team. It felt nostalgic, but there was no time for reminiscing. This is the threatening letter. There's a lot. It comes to the office almost daily. But this alone might not be enough. It would be good if we can pin the cyberbullying on him, but if he's using multiple fake accounts, it's gonna be tough. Is that so? He almost assaulted her, you know. Isn't that enough? Almost isn't good enough. If I hadn't stepped in, well, if you hadn't stepped in back there, who knows what would have happened to her? Isn't that just hindsight? You didn't do anything wrong. John said with a chuckle. His words felt like a lifeline. I realized I'd been unknowingly bothered about losing my job because of that incident. Lisa smiled at me too. Exactly. I might have gotten punched and hurt, and thanks to Dylan, I was safe. I'm truly grateful. Thanks, both of you. As I spoke, they both nodded in agreement. By the way, there's this strange rumor about Jake. Can we discuss it? Lisa asked as she pulled out a file from her bag. It was something I'd never seen before, and I tilted my head curiously. I was being consulted by my friend. Could you take a look at this? The document Lisa presented contained a pamphlet from some company and a printed screenshot of a cell phone display. John's expression changed dramatically as he went through it. Lisa, can you gather more evidence? This is a serious crime. His earlier gentle smile was now gone. His eyes blazed with intensity, resembling a detective chasing a criminal. Lisa, unafraid of John's intensity, smirked confidently. Of course, leave it to me. Some days later, I found myself at a local diner eating pancakes alone. The pancakes topped with whipped cream may not have seemed like my style, but hey, I liked them. Sipping my hot chocolate, I strained my ears to catch every word from the conversation between the man and woman behind me. So, Lisa, finally coming around, sometimes it's better to delegate than do everything yourself. I wanted to tell you that. I've been wanting to introduce you to trustworthy people to collaborate with in your business. Thank you. I'm curious to know more. I'm also interested in your other ventures. Other ventures? Yes, a friend told me. I have a lot of things I want, you know. I would like some more money. Ah, I get you. No worries. Seems like she got his attention. I had heard Jake attended the same university as Lisa. I thought he was smart, but perhaps I overestimated him. Jake, with his flamboyant looks, handed Lisa a green pamphlet while talking smoothly. It was the same one John had seen at the police station. Jake's voice became noticeably quieter and more discreet. I've got this business where we call various speakers for seminars. Kinda like study sessions. There's an initial membership fee, but if you introduce friends, you get some cash back. And don't worry, it's not some weird cult or something. We don't push products on you. The very fact he had to clarify it wasn't some weird cult was suspicious. I wondered if what he was doing was even legal. Looking at the brochure, Jake seemed eager to explain the profitable strategies, the kind of people you can meet, success stories, and such. He seemed unaware that Lisa was becoming indifferent, only offering half-hearted responses. Additionally, he chattered on about private stocks and foreign currency investments. Meanwhile, Lisa was amusing herself by wetting a paper bag for a straw and watching it wriggle. Either Jake didn't notice, or something was off with him. So, what do you say, Lisa? Will you join? Do you have any videos or something about the seminar? Send me the link. I'd like to see it before deciding. I'm considering it though. Seriously, I'll send it right now. Jake was in a good mood and operating his phone. Soon enough, a notification sound indicated that a video had been shared in the group chat between Lisa, John, and me. The seminar's content was very sketchy. "Hello, you're Jake, right?" Suddenly, a soft tenor voice broke the silence. With a friendly smile, John and another detective appeared next to where Lisa and Jake were seated. "We'd like to have a word with you. Mind accompanying us?" John reached into his pocket, flashing his police badge. "You seem to have quite an interesting conversation earlier. We'd love to hear more." "What? How did you? Could it be you?" Jake seemed suspicious of the undisturbed Lisa or had noticed something. In no time, his face turned red and he lunged at her. I instinctively moved and slid myself between Lisa and Jake. Jake's fist hit my cheek, but it was just a slight jolt and not really painful. Such a loosely thrown punch had no effect. I stared into Jake's eyes and smirked. He let out a pitiful leak and tried to pull his right hand away, but I firmly grasped his wrist. "Ah, you're that guy from..." "Yeah, I'm the one who lost my job because of you." Why?" "I'm Lisa's bodyguard now, so you punched me, huh?" "That's right, arrested on the spot for assault. Maybe I'll take my time hearing about the other stuff. Ready for what's coming." One would let their guard down with John's gentle demeanor, but he's dozens of times scarier and stronger than me. Being glared at by him, it seemed Jake lost all will to resist. "Man, there was no need for you, a civilian, to get punched. If I had been the one, we could have charged him with obstructing an officer." "Ah, I messed up. Sorry." "Haha, just kidding. Honestly, you helped. I bet we can now race back to all the culprits. It's amazing no more victims were hurt. It's thanks to you." Saying that, John raised his right hand and straightened his back. He saluted me, giving his respects. John knew the reason I couldn't become a cop. We had promised to pursue it together, but it didn't come true, and he knew the bitterness I felt. Still, the fact that he remained a friend meant everything to me. My father was deceived by someone and got arrested. He had unknowingly become a courier for a particular crime. Being ignorant is almost as if it's a crime, and he couldn't just excuse himself by saying he didn't know. Even now, he's regretting his past behind bars. I knew that police departments look into the criminal history of family members. So, believing I couldn't pass with my father in jail, I never tried. It's my life's only regret. Having turned 30, I can't become a cop anymore. And yet, John saluted me with such respect. I was touched by his gesture and bowed my head in gratitude. "Thank you." John then climbed into his squad car and drove away. Some time later, news broke about the arrest of a large scam group. From college students to working adults, many had fallen into their web of deceit. There was a surge in the number of victims, especially among college students, and helplines were broadcasted on TV. As for me, I'm working as a bodyguard in Lisa's company. but hardly anyone causes trouble like Jake did, and I've mostly been tidying up the office. Today, the window panes are gleaming. The floor is shiny, and I even wiped down the guest sofa. Lately, I've taken a liking to cleaning, and even watch cleaning tutorials on YouTube after work hours. Cleaning can also be a form of exercise, so it's killing two birds with one stone. Lisa, reflecting on recent events, is enthusiastic about developing an app to help women easily send out SOS signals. She also mentioned organizing an awareness event in college to prevent scams. She's currently on her college break and is fervently working on her computer in the office every day. I have no idea what she's doing, but I believe she's creating something fantastic. Since then, I've realized that there are as many forms of justice as there are people. Becoming a cop and catching bad guys isn't the only way to protect people. Like Lisa, developing tools for self-defense or raising awareness to avoid scams is also protecting people. Protecting her and creating a safe workspace also contributes to that goal. In my own way, in my own place, I'll uphold my sense of justice. With that in mind, today too, I'll enjoy my cleaning-cum-exercise routine. I'm Bob, an average and common employee. I've been working as a salesman for a general trading company for 4 years now. While my peers are starting to achieve impressive results and getting promotions, I still haven't made any notable accomplishments. Given that I naturally don't stand out and neither my looks nor personality are particularly striking, I was perceived by those around me as the incompetent worker. Every month, my boss would reprimand me about not meeting my sales targets, and instead of being respected by my juniors, I just felt like they found me bothersome. Bob. Yes, sir. One day, out of the blue, I was called by the sales director, and with a heavy heart, I approached his office. Director, did you call for me? Picking up some documents, the director frowned. More gripes about my performance. I listened to the director with a heavy heart. Bob, it seems you didn't meet your sales quota again this month. Yes, I apologize. I'm not asking for an apology. Do you even have any motivation? I don't see any motivation at all in your daily work. Isn't it because you're doing a lousy job that sales aren't growing? No, I never intended. Your peers are now supervisors and managers, right? Don't you feel anything when you see your colleagues becoming top sales? Well, when the director starts his lectures, the office goes silent, and everyone gets absorbed in their own tasks, trying not to get involved. Being called into his office typically meant being reprimanded for over 30 minutes. All I could do was bow my head and apologize profusely. I want you to go on a sales trip to the neighboring state next month. If you can't secure even one contract, don't think of returning to this department. What? Does that mean I'm getting fired? Compared to our area, the neighboring state had a higher percentage of young people and single folks, making it a notoriously tough place to secure contracts within the company. Maybe the director was intentionally sending me there to get rid of me. What's with that sour look? If you get even one contract, I'll exempt you from next month's quota. All right. Yes. I want to see how serious you are about your job. Understood. Excuse me. There's no arguing with the director's orders. And so, my trip to the neighboring state was decided. The business trip is for 3 days, and I absolutely have to secure at least one contract. That was the condition set by the director. Why did it have to be the place even my peers say it's tough to get contracts? Honestly, thinking about the next 3 days drained my appetite. I got off at the nearest station to the hotel I had booked and immediately started making my rounds in the residential areas surrounding the station. We're good. Not interested. I see. Excuse me. Even just after introducing myself through the doorbell, I'd get turned away with a clearly irritated voice. Quit bothering us. We don't accept salespeople here. Get out. Excuse me. After being turned down over a dozen times, Already my heart was breaking. I mean, I don't mean to complain my company's product, but the penetration rate of water dispensers in general households is still low. I personally don't see the need for a water dispenser. Tap water is just fine. It's a tabletop water dispenser developed by our company that provides delicious natural water at a fixed rate every month. But I wonder if there's any demand outside of affluent or health-conscious households. Man, I'm beat. I arrived in the town in the afternoon, and before I knew it, dusk had settled. Wiping the sweat off my forehead, I took a seat on a park bench. As I stared blankly at the sky, I felt a wave of emptiness and was on the verge of tears. Suddenly, I felt a cold drop on my cheek. It was a sudden rain shower. Drops started to fall, and in a flash, it turned into a downpour. I quickly got up from the bench. Seriously, can't I catch a break? Tossing an empty plastic bottle into the trash bin near a vending machine, I left the park. I was on my way to check in at a hotel, heading towards the train station. As I passed by the riverbank, I glanced over and saw a woman, soaked to the bone, standing by the river's edge. Who would stand there without an umbrella in this heavy rain? Though I should have just moved on, something inside me stirred, and I approached the drenched woman, calling out, "Are you all right? Being out here alone in this rain, you'll catch a cold." She turned around, startled. She was strikingly beautiful, with a well-composed face. I wondered if she was an office worker. Despite her soaked suit, our eyes met, and I felt my heart race. It wasn't just her captivating gaze, but the fact that she had been crying. Her moist eyes were red and swollen, and her complexion was very pale from being wet in the rain for so long. "I'm sorry. Please leave me alone. I want to be alone. It's dangerous here," I replied. The riverbank was muddy from the rain, and if she slipped and fell into the river, it would be serious. Maybe I was being pushy, but I grabbed her wrist. "Let me go. I'll let go if you step away from the river." "Why? It's none of your business." Tears streamed down from her eyes as I held on to her. "I can't just stand by and watch when you look like you might fall into the river any moment." As I insisted, she tried to shake off my grasp. "Whoa, she twisted herself and slipped. Careful, she lost her balance and was about to fall into the river. In a panic, I reached out with both hands, grabbing her arm and pulling with all my might to lift her up. She looked at me, wide-eyed in astonishment. "Why are you doing so much for me?" I wasn't sure why I was so determined myself. But it'd be a real disaster if she had fallen into the river and drowned. In such a situation, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Seemingly trusting me, she took my hand. Later, she said, "As a thank you for helping me, would you like to have coffee at my apartment?" I found myself being led to her apartment. For a regular bachelor like me, this was the first time entering a woman's place. Feeling a bit nervous, I took off my shoes at the entrance, and she handed me a towel from her dresser. "Thank you." "You're welcome, don't worry." In the stillness of the apartment, a man and a woman, both wet, were alone wiping themselves down. She, appearing a bit restless, finished drying off first and began heating water in the kitchen. Glancing around the room, I noticed a photo frame on the dresser. From where I was, I couldn't see the faces clearly, but it was evident it was a picture of a man and a woman. Did she have a significant other? Well, considering how beautiful she is, it wouldn't be surprising. Feeling a tad disappointed, I sat at the dining table and waited for her to bring over a tray. "Here you go." Thank you." The woman sat down across from me. After sipping the freshly brewed coffee, I broached the topic. "Why were you staring at the river in the rain?" When I asked her directly, she shook her head slightly. "Whenever I'm sad, I've always been drawn to the water. Somehow, it calms me." "I get that, but please be careful. What if something had happened?" "It's okay. Ever since I lost him, there's been no spark left in my life. I'm sorry, what? With a sad smile, she picked up the photo frame to show me. We are twins. It seemed I mistakenly thought her brother was her boyfriend. Looking closely at the picture, he indeed looked strikingly similar to her in appearance and atmosphere. What happened to your brother? He died in a car accident 4 years ago, just when he had landed his dream job. Listening to her story, I learned her brother was my age. That's truly heartbreaking. We lost our parents at a young age, so we only had each other. I jumped from job to job, but I could push through any hardship for his sake. Regret was absent in her voice as she talked about the past. Upon closely observing her hand gripping her cup, I noticed rift patches and evident signs of wear and tear. Seeing where my gaze landed, she blushed and hid her hands. I do a lot of manual labor, and my hands get rough easily. I'm embarrassed, so please don't look. It appeared she had jiggled multiple jobs, including office work and part-time jobs, to make ends meet. She had stopped working part-time after her brother's death, and she seemed a bit self-conscious about it. You might not like looking at these battered hands. Not at all. They're a testament to how hard you've worked for your family. It's impressive. Thank you. I scratched my head in embarrassment at my uncharacteristically impassioned speech in response to her modesty. She responded with a gentle smile that left me flustered. I was dazzled by her beautiful smile, and now she asked me a question. Sorry to ask you, but what brought you to the riverside? Right. I never mentioned it. My name's Bob. I'm a salesman for Gold Mountain Corp. Oh, I see. Sorry, I didn't tell you my name earlier. After introducing myself, she shared her name as well. She went by Erica and was 2 years older than me. I'm sorry for the inconvenience during your work time. Don't worry about it. Work is, well, work, you know. Actually, today I walked around this town's residential area all day and couldn't secure a single contract. I have 2 more days on this business trip, but honestly, I can't help but feel anxious. Then, Erica looked me straight in the eyes and said, But Bob, I bet you'd handle any job with style, wouldn't you? Excuse me. It was a genuine compliment from Erica, but I shook my head in denial. That's giving me too much credit. I can't secure any contracts, and while my peers are getting promotions, I'm still just an ordinary employee. I didn't intend to whine about such pitiful things to a woman, but perhaps I let my guard down around the soothing presence of Erica, letting more slip out than I meant to. I was never cut out for sales. I don't have the guts, and I'm not as brilliant as my peers. I don't know when I will be fired from my job if my performance continues at this rate. Bob. Seeing me bear my insecurities, Erica's voice grew more stern. She overlaid her palm on mine, gripping it with conviction as she spoke. Where's the brave Bob, who saved me from the river? Well, you saved me even though it might have been dangerous for you too, didn't you? I saw how hard you tried to help me, and that made me feel safe to trust you. That was just because I was desperate. I just couldn't leave you there. It's the same with your work, isn't it? With people can feel your kindness and sincerity, things will surely go well. Erica's palm was warm, reminding me of the human warmth I had long forgotten. I never really thought about being earnest or passionate about my work since joining the company. After struggling with job hunting, I joined Gold Mountain Corp. Out of compromise, and I can't deny that I was insincere about a job I didn't want. My peers, on the other hand, were recognized for their motivation and personality from the start. They were favored by the department head. While I was somewhat skeptical of grunt work of salesmen, they were so enthusiastic about their work that they took the initiative to go out on field trips and did not return home until they got a contract. But sales isn't so simple that results come just by trying hard. Erica, without blaming me for making excuses, replied in a soothing voice. You work at Gold Mountain Corp, right? Yes, why? I have something I want you to see in my brother's room. For me. Yes, please follow me. I followed Erica into the room she led me to. My brother's room has been left as it was when he passed away. On the neatly arranged desk, I was shocked to find familiar brochures and flyers with products. This is our company's brochure. Yes, if my brother were alive today, I believe he would have been working alongside you at the same company. Really? On her brother's desk, there were also comprehensive reports about Gold Mountain Corp. And self-help books about the mindset for sales. Erica's brother must have been enthusiastic about the job. Compared to him, where was I standing? From the start, I had given up trying, blaming the environment and customers for not securing contracts. My brother was so happy saying, "Now I'm a working adult too. I can support you, sis." I might not be in a position to say this, but I want you, Bob, to work hard not just for yourself but for my brother as well. I'm rooting for you. Erica, I felt like I had a bucket of cold water dumped on me. After that, I decided to leave the apartment after thanking her, as it was past check-in time at the business hotel. The next day, after staying at the motel, early in the morning, I got dressed, stuffed my bag with information on water dispensers and brochures, and once again walked every inch of this town. May I have a moment of your time? I'm a bit busy right now. I'd at least like to give you this information. Please accept it. Just like the first day, the response wasn't great, but I earnestly bowed my head, talked to those willing to listen, handed out brochures, and felt a sense of accomplishment in my own way, even if just dropping information in mailboxes. However, even after 3 days on the road, I couldn't secure a single contract. A few days after returning, I was summoned by the department manager. It would be a reprimand for not meeting quotas. Feeling dejected, I headed to the director's office. "You wanted to see me. It's about your recent trip. I'm truly sorry. I couldn't secure a single contract." As I bowed deeply, the director stood up and gave me a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "We got 2 calls from the neighboring state yesterday. They want to sign contracts after considering your passionate presentation." "What? You've got potential, Bob. Keep up the good work. I'm counting on you. Thank you so much." For the first time in a while, I met my sales quota. That moment of joy rekindled my passion for the job. Later on, I visited the homes of the customers who had decided to sign contracts. The first was an elderly couple who were kind enough to listen, and the second, to my surprise. "Bob, it's been a while." "Hello, Erica." It was Erica, the attractive woman I met by chance on a rainy day. "I believe my brother brought us together." "The pleasure is mine." Since then, I have had a good relationship with Erica, talking about each other's work and occasionally about our private lives. Work is not always smooth, and sometimes I compare my contract numbers with those of my peers and feel down, but at such times I try to push myself to do my best for Erica's twin brother. People around me are surprised by the change in me, but this is who I truly am. With these thoughts, I'm determined to keep working hard,